outdoor celebrations are sure to sizzle this month as our country celebrates its independence. We've got all the tips to keep your backyard barbecues safe and legal. The White Bear Lake Fire MS-150 team battled the elements to honor those living with multiple sclerosis. We'll bring you highlights from the finish line. Hi, I'm Tracy Minarchek. Welcome to Lake Area Beat. Ron Hawkins is off this month. White Bear Lake is among the best places to be during the summer months, so that's why our crew is shooting out here. We've been bringing you updates on Ron's MS-150 team, as well as stories of the dedicatees living with MS in recent months. Well, now we've got the final chapter as we talk to spectators, riders, and Ron at the MS-150 finish line.
So great when you cross the finish line and there are people cheering for you.
On one of the most draining weather weekends of the year, Liz Starr stood as a symbol of energy, cheering on MS-150 riders as they crossed the final stretch.
It's been a weekend of a lot of challenges, so it's so inspiring to see everyone come across the finish line.
Congratulations!
Steve and Nancy Frosch, making an emotional finish, kept their humor when talking about why they made the 150-mile journey.
Anybody with MS, a lot of people have it, so...
Steve has MS himself and has had it since like 98.
Yeah, but all the money goes to everybody else.
The two-day event begins in Duluth and ends in the Twin Cities and includes nearly 3,500 riders. The event raises more than $2.5 million every year, and the White Bear Lake Fire Team has surpassed last year with members raising over $10,000.
So this was our 5th year, and honestly I think this was the toughest year that we had.
With high winds and high temperatures, the team pushed through Saturday, but the hail, thunder, and lightning brought their Sunday ride to a screeching halt.
This morning was nice for like 3 hours. It was nice, and then there were the downpour and the hail, and we're in the basement of a church taking cover, and it was pretty crazy.
Despite the challenging conditions, the team kept those they were riding for in their minds and hearts and found strength in their mission and journey home.
When we came into White Bear Lake and we were on our own turf, a lot of the pains kind of went away a little bit more, so it was so nice to see the White Bear Lake signs and to feel like you were at home.
Congratulations to Ron and his team. We're going to take a quick break, but first, here's a word of caution before you take that summer trip.
Summertime in Minnesota is a great thing, with trips to the cabin and time off from the daily grind. But while you're at play, criminals are on the job. I'm Sergeant John Vetty, reminding you to safeguard your home before you hit the road. Break-ins increase during the summer months, and nothing ruins your great getaway more than coming home to a burglarized house. A good first step is to stop your mail. You may be tempted to ask a neighbor to collect it, but what if your neighbor slacks a day or two, or more? Criminals look for untouched mail, flyers, and newspapers collected at your doorstep, so it's a good idea to stop subscriptions. Make sure all your doors and windows are locked, and use metal rods to secure sliding glass doors. Make it appear you are home by using timers on your radio, lights, and television. Have a neighbor keep an eye on your house, and if they're really nice, put your trash containers out on pickup day. Finally, don't announce to the world via social media you're away from home. Wait to share your vacation stories and pictures when you return. You can also contact the White Bear Lake Police Department for more tips. Don't let this be the summer vacation you remember because your house was ransacked. Just a little planning on the front end may make this your best vacation yet. Once again, I'm John Vetti. We'll see you next time.
What is the least glamorous part of being a host?
This particular winter, we've been outside a lot doing the shots, and yeah, it's, you know, you try not to be doing one of these, but in the inside you're freezing your buns off. And then for me too, I mean, I look at my head for God's sakes, and that's a shiny piece of equipment I have.
I think we're super hard on ourselves too, because I look at the show and go, yeah. I got to change this, and that. Jeez. Welcome back. Home fires peak in July, and outdoor grilling can be just as dangerous as cooking indoors. White Bear Lake Fire Inspector Mike Turnbull is here to talk about all the fire-related topics that make summer worth waiting for. Mike, thanks for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
So in summertime, what things we have to worry about? We have to worry about 4th of July, fireworks, grilling,
campfires, and not necessarily related to fire safety, but certainly water safety. We are very concerned that people are, using personal flotation devices and being aware of that for themselves and for their younger children.
Yep. And storm damage.
Real
I've had
good.
some storm damage at my house. I had a lot of leaf cleanup and a lot of branches. What usually goes along with storm cleanup?
Well, certainly when we get trees coming down, that it can take wires down. And clearly that's our primary concern, is that people be aware of the fact that if the electricity is out, or even if it's not, if they come across wires in their yard or in their neighborhood, they really need to, first of all, notify 911, but make sure that bystanders, and in particular young children, stay away from them, because obviously we can't see electricity in the wires, but we always assume that they're energized.
And especially, we have got some really great big trees, one we're standing underneath of, and if it's touching a line or something, you don't know if it's...
That's it exactly. I mean, a wire may actually be down several hundreds of feet away and still potentially have an energized object. So we really encourage people to, perhaps even stay indoors until, the lights come back on and they know it's safe.
And then they have all the brush in their yard, and they all want to pile it up and just have one really big, great bonfire, right?
Yeah, we've both been on calls like that. And we just certainly always want to encourage people to have, a fun evening with hot dogs in a fireplace that's attended and safe, with mom and dad and the kids. But what we don't want to do, and what we don't allow, is people to burn yard waste and branches, things like that, because they're a nuisance and they want to get rid of them. Typically in the city, just because houses are so close to one another, we really don't allow that type of open burning. And if we do experience it, or we get a complaint, the police department and the fire department goes out and investigates that, and we will tell people to immediately put that fire out because they are burning illegally.
Now, what if I get a burn permit? Can I get a specialty permit?
You can get a
really
burning
strict
permit
rules.
from the fire department, but there's some pretty strict rules that we have to adhere to.
Mm-hmm.
And generally speaking, it's pretty hard to actually meet those requirements within the downtown city.
Okay.
Just because houses are so close to one another.
Yep.
And people always have to be cognizant of the fact that even if I have a burning permit that's legally been issued to them, if the smoke starts to drift into their neighbors and it files, you know, it generates a complaint because they're being smoked out. Well, we're going to ask you to put that fire out right
You
away
still have
again.
to be safe.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So let's do something more fun. Barbecue, grilling.
Well, yes.
What happens with that?
Where are we right now?
I know. Darn it. We didn't give you any
Well,
grilling.
there's two things we need to talk about. Many people still use charcoal grills, and obviously you're using lighter fluid to get those coals ignited perhaps. We have to be very careful with that, and again, that's certainly an adult activity. And along with propane grills, people have got to be a little bit more careful with the propane tanks, just because occasionally tubing and piping can fail, and all of a sudden we now have a propane tank that is in fact getting ready to burn. So, and last but not least, thank you for asking about propane. We certainly encourage people to always keep their propane outside, never inside, and certainly never in the basement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You would think that would go without saying, but it doesn't. And then fireworks. Our concerns with fireworks, there are some that are legal, some that are not, but even the ones that are legal, we need to be careful with them.
We certainly do. And just first and foremost, from a safety standpoint, there are certain fireworks, in fact, that are now legal in the state of Minnesota. And but having said that, they still, just because they're legal doesn't mean that they're inherently safe. And it's certainly an adult activity that should be used or supervised by an adult. And you know, once a firework is ignited, it needs to be dropped right away and, you know, not picked up again, because unfortunately our ambulance, our fire district, just like you folks, experience kind of an influx and a spike of fireworks injuries and calls, you know, the few days before and after the 4th of July.
Yep, they're picking them up, going, why didn't they go off? And then they go off in somebody's hand.
And it can be a catastrophic injury.
Now, another thing that I want to just ask you about is, because I know people don't know what to do with the spent fireworks, and I know some people put them like in a bucket of water, and that is so not the right thing to do, right?
That's really not the right thing to do, because that chemically that can change the gunpowder to actually make it more unstable. So if you want to take and not have those fireworks around for the kids, or for whatever reason you just want to get rid of them, please just bring them down to the fire department, and we will dispose of them properly and safely.
Okay, that sounds good. And thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Well, we're happy to be here, and I hope everybody has a nice, safe summer. Think about safety and enjoy.
Yes, thank you. Rodeos aren't just about horses, cowboys, and corrals. They can happen right here in the city. White Bear Lake held its first ever rodeo. And as photographer Nick Anderson found, there was plenty of action to go around.
Straight. And what do we look for before we cross the rules? Cars, absolutely.
Stop at the stop sign. Got it? All right, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Let them know that you're coming and then signal, okay?
Makes a big difference for people, and I just want you to try it.
Yep, follow her, and then you can start the course over again. Today we're out with the White Bear Lake Police Department, and I'm from Bear Power, and we have the Lake Links Trail, and we're just hosting a bike rodeo for kids, and they get to learn the rules of the road, get their bike checked out, make sure it's safe.
This right here is the helmet with the watermelons in. And this is going to represent our head.
1, 2, 3.
See that? Now,
It has a cook.
let's look at this. Now let's pretend this is our head without any kind of a helmet on. And we're going to see what happens, okay? You ready? Everybody, we want you to say 1, 2, 3, and then I'll drop it. Ready, go.
1, 2, 3.
You see the difference? Girls, is it important to wear your helmet? Yes! Because
that helmet saved your head. All right?
So that bike rodeo, how was that?
Good.
Was that fun?
Yep.
Did you learn stuff?
Yep.
You learned stuff about your helmet and your bike, didn't
Yep.
you? And you had a good time and you got free stuff?
Yep.
So should everybody come back for next year?
Yep. Goodbye.
Excellent. We're going to take a break, but we'll talk with the White Bear Lake officer and his connection to a headline-making trial when we return.
What's the strangest thing a stranger has ever said to you related to the show?
I've had people just say, hey, I watched you. I'm like, do they mean like in a creepy way? And they go, oh, maybe they're talking about the show. And then I go, the show? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, shoot, okay, the show.
So if you asked Officer Heidi what's kind of the weirdest thing,
Yes.
she might say somebody that thinks that she's Tracy.
Yep,
and
'cause
says,
she-
hey, I love the show.
She said she sometimes explains it to them, but sometimes she gives up and says, oh, okay, thank you. Last year, we began a friendly competition between the White Bear Lake Police Department and Fire Department. The challenge tests the competitors' mental and physical prowess to see who comes out on top. Although there's no tangible prize, the bragging rights alone make the whole embarrassing, backbreaking, and humbling competition worth it. Backed by popular demand is the latest battle of the departments. This is Matt from the Fire Department. I'm Tracy from the Police Department, and let's see who's gonna win. Are you ready? Are you Mark? Get set, go!
2, 5, 9, 63.
Oh, hurry, get going!
Wait.
Go! If you fall,
yeah.
it's me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy. Ah! I don't even want to do this. Good grief.
Grief is right. Holy crap. Who folded this?
Rest assured, it's a little slow on that.
This is the rate limiting step here.
Oh, crud.
Ah! There we go.
Frozen solid.
You need help?
Yes.
You good?
Totally. It's half on. I can't get the sleeves on. Sleeves. Sleeves. Oh man.
I feel like there's some dirty clothes. Oh, this is happening.
Well, I got myself, so that's good. Oh, I think it was a close tie, but you know what?
I want an official.
Look, my shirt is way more frosty than yours. It's still stuck.
Well, that's because I'm not hot.
Earlier this year, we talked with officers Nathan Hook and Isaac Tuma about the Ramsey County Mobile Field Force. The force is used in many ways, including high-profile court cases. Officer Hook is here to tell us more about the field force, as well as some new skills He's picked up. Officer Hook, thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So give us just a really brief background on Ramsey County's mobile field force. What is it? Who is in it?
Yeah, it was set up several years ago by the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office to deal with specific events, large crowds, protesters, for example, but other events like natural disasters and things like that. We have a squad of up to about 40 different people, including officers from Mounds View, Maplewood, and obviously White Bear Lake, who are part of that because we're in Ramsey County as well.
So you guys went out to DC. We saw that story on one of our previous shows.
Yeah.
Do they have, you do a lot of things, is it just in Ramsey County, or do you have any other events outside of Ramsey County? What about the Super Bowl next year? Is that something that they're talking about having you out?
Yes, it is, yeah. So obviously primarily we're focused on events in Ramsey County. That's where we spend, the majority of our time in areas around St. Paul and stuff like that. But obviously, potentially with a national disaster, the Mobile Field Force has the ability to go elsewhere, which we saw in DC last year. And you mentioned the Super Bowl, which is a big event coming up, a major security headache really for the organizers of that. So obviously it's in Minneapolis, but we have been asked to help out with that as well, just to provide extra bodies on the ground to assist with security and crowd control, because obviously there's tens of thousands of people attending that event, and it's watched nationally. So we will definitely be assisting in that event as well.
And I'm sure that takes like a lot of meetings and plannings and stuff, and your role may change, or do they have an idea of exactly what they want you guys to do?
At this stage, I think it's still probably preliminary in terms of exactly what role we will be providing, but the guts of it is that the commanders know that we have X number of bodies that we can provide to that event, and they'll be the ones making the decisions on what specific roles we will be doing. There is talk, as you can see with the bike in front of us here.
I know.
Yep, that we may use the bikes at that event. Minneapolis has quite a lot of officers that are bike certified through the International Police Mountain Biking Association. It's a pretty grueling course. It requires quite a lot of fitness, and it really is a lot of fun. But it gives officers a lot more mobility and an extra set of skills that they can use in those events.
Now, are all the Mobile Field Force guys have bikes, or just a handful, or is it like a subgroup within Mobile Field Force?
It's a subgroup, is probably a better way to describe it. We have about 20 officers that are bike certified. Not everyone wants to do it. It is pretty tough, because obviously it's not a matter of if you're going to fall, it's a matter of when. You will fall on these bikes at some stage with some of the things that we're doing, which includes going up and down stairs, going over certain obstacles, handling the bike in a way that involves some kind of almost like trick riding. But those are techniques that we use. So not everyone wants to get involved in that kind of thing. So we have about 20 officers that are trained specifically in bike skills and using those bikes in different ways.
Now, I know mounted police, they use their horses to kind of push people back. Is that kind of what the deal is with the bikes too? You use the bike in a way to push crowds back, right?
Correct, absolutely. The bike is another mechanism that we can use. Obviously we have more space. I've now increased my personal width, so I can use this bike to block. It's obviously very mobile. We can get around places very quickly, and we can react to events that are going on much more quickly than getting a squad full of people, or even moving a large body of men and women around to cover things that are happening or unfolding around us.
Now, you just were at, I know our guys, we had 4 of them down from the Mobile Field Force from our department and SWAT, working at the Officer Yana's trial.
Correct.
Before and after, or kind of through the whole thing.
Yep.
Maybe talk about kind of what your role was, or did you guys get into doing things?
We did, yeah. Our role was primarily court security. St. Paul was dealing more with the outside of the building, although we were there as not so much a show of physical force, but more of a in the wings waiting just in case something should occur. And I was involved. There was a minor verbal altercation outside of the courthouse on one of the days, so the bikes were able to get there very quickly and kind of disperse any issues before it really got off. Most of the people there during that entire time were very, very peaceful, and it was really nice to see that. So we kept a pretty background, passive kind of role. We weren't in an aggressive stance, and you'll hear on TV sometimes the St. Paul commanders talking about those things. They generally are in charge of events like that, and their response is based on what the crowd's really going to do. So
you're not biking around at night, right?
Well, we technically can. Yeah, you know, there definitely are similarities and there are differences. Obviously, White Bear being very small, we don't have our own bike team. Minneapolis PD, they have numerous officers, like I said, that are trained.
It's all right, you have an accent.
Yeah.
Even you can't understand yourself. Just kidding.
So Minneapolis PD have a large number of officers that are trained to do bike patrol, and we were taught those skills, to use the bikes in a way that enhance patrol skills that officers in a squad car can't do. Obviously, White Bear, we're very small, we don't have enough officers and enough people to police in that way. We don't have a huge CBD like Minneapolis does.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense that we would have our officers involved in that way. But the bike allows me to get around into crowds, and there's less of a barrier between me and the people with the bike that a squad car brings. Right. So it's less kind of us and them. And what you find is that people will come up and talk to you about your bike. They want to know what you're doing there and how this is different from your regular patrol duty. Similar to when you're on foot and you're out of your squad car, generally more people want to come up and talk to you, especially at Market Fest and stuff like that.
Well, and that brings us to the next question.
Yes.
Will we be seeing you at Market Fest
well,
on the bike?
You know, that's a question for our chief.
It remains to be seen.
It remains to be seen. Not that, you know, I haven't really had much of a chance to talk to her about that, in fairness.
Yep.
At the moment, unfortunately, I'm the only White Bear police officer that's trained through the International Police Mountain Biking Association, and it does require some skill to be able to do that role. So we only have one officer. Generally, you want to have at least two, possibly 3 or even 4 to be effective as a squad because of the techniques that we used in that role. But you know, hopefully that's something that we can think about, and certainly I think July 20th we have a safety event, and I believe that I have some Ramsey County deputies who are going to be out with me, and we will be talking about our bikes in more detail. So.
Awesome. So July 20th at the Market Fest, it's Public Safety Night. Look for you and the Mobile Field Force. Hopefully we'll be out, some guys from there. So thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hope to see more of you on the bike this summer.
Absolutely.
Before we go, there's a new business in White Bear Lake that parents may find very helpful this summer. Producer Joe Cullen and photographer Jeff Melcock have the details.
A brand new indoor playground and cafe is drawing rave reviews in White Bear Lake from both young children and their caregivers. Jenny and Brian Enlow are longtime White Bear Lake residents, and as the parents of 5 kids, they felt the area was lacking for a nice indoor play spot. That inspired them to open the Wishing Tree Play Cafe.
18 years of thinking about it goes back to, what do mom and dads like to be around? What does it look like? I want something calm and educational for the kids so they can just relax, but also get their wiggles out. But I don't want to be overstimulating or overstressful where it's not relaxing for the grown-ups too.
Besides all of the fun stuff to play on for the kids, there is also a cafe with food and drinks to make any age happy.
We specialize in crepes, lattes, smoothies, paninis, soups, salads. We have an amazing menu that we're very excited to share that's healthy with many indulgence too.
The Wishing Tree Play Cafe opened in September. Business has been great over the colder months, and the owners are confident the summer will be busy too.
We're excited about the summer because with that we get to add more programming. We're having a summer book club called Book Hounds. We're going to have 13 local authors come in and read to the children every Wednesday. And we have lots of fitness things added. We have more princesses on the patio. With this kind of climate, we get to add more fun.
The Wishing Tree Play Cafe is located at 1011 Meadowlands Drive in White Bear Lake. You can find them online at thewishingtreeplaycafe.com.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Lake Area Beat. A reminder to everyone to buckle up. White Bear Lake Police cited 100 people during a 2-week Click It or Ticket campaign. Stay safe and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.